And so I actually found out about education pioneers. It was at the time that I was looking at going back to grad school, and actually wasn't sure if I was going to get into the school that I wanted to get into or how that was going to pan out, but just kind of in parallel, had learned about this opportunity where they were looking for people with business experience to go into the nonprofit sector, and just kind of utilize those skill sets. And so the more I like learned about it, I'm kind of like, well, maybe I would even want to. I actually ended up deferring my grad school year to when I got into this fellowship. But I guess for me, it was an opportunity I've always kind of enjoyed like volunteering. I think also, especially like working with like youth. I did Big Brothers Big Sisters when I lived in Philadelphia. Um, and like a different like entrepreneurship, even kind of like guidance. And so for youth. And so this was kind of an opportunity to really like delve into it a bit more. So the organization I worked with was grant funded, but they were working with the school that was in LA, that was just been chronically low performing. And during the middle of the year, the superintendent basically said that they were going to bring in two new operators. One was a charter school, and then one was a district school that was focused primarily on school turnarounds. And so it was, I would say, only a handful of the teachers were there the year that I was there. A lot of my role was around helping the two school organizations work together, because even though they're separate school organizations, they shared a campus. The students were split between the two. Um, a lot of it was around like processes again. So while they were, I was in an entity that was kind of in between helping both organizations and helping them set up those protocols. And so also as a middle child, I enjoy that piece, and bringing people together, and helping to establish like what those processes were. Also, a lot of it, my role there was looking at data. So with it being kind of a pilot to use this approach for school turnarounds, understanding like what are some of the metrics or what are some of the goals that the school really had to say like this was successful, or to just track the impact of this different model. And so at the time, it was kind of me coming off of more of my finance, more like data driven career. And so first kind of establishing like, well, what are some of the metrics that would be important, like student attendance, test rates, and then kind of setting up those protocols to bring both administrative teams together to like review this data. And I think it was really eye-opening for me, and it helped me from a communication standpoint too, because I think previously, I was working with numbers, but it's numbers based off of orders. Like these numbers is like associated with a student, and it has more of a depth to that information. And so being able to kind of understand that and be able to kind of communicate in a way where not all the metrics were where we wanted to be at that time, but having a lens of, well, what steps can we take to improve the trajectory or operational change that might be able to help influence the numbers, or influence the results, to be beneficial for the students.
Very cool. I love that every data point was a student. Like, I truly believe if you look at data points as people, like, that's where like real change can come from things. And then you can really make informed decisions. So thanks for sharing that. And thanks for your work in that. Like, I'm only imagine like how much impact that will continue to have, like, as generations go, for kids being able to get that proper education.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that year. And I think, again, like when I think about things or experiences that have kind of influenced even mindset to money, um, it's those experiences that seeing like the impact of like exposure. So one of my one of my projects there, I organized a college fair, um, and so it was very like grassroots, but we had like 50 like college organizations and like community groups there, because I think initially I think the graduation rate was around like 30%, but
Mm.
to me it gives like that exposure to what options are out there. And so I had went to a community or a meeting at the school where I think it was kind of brought up to maybe recommend maybe like trade schools or vocational schools, which those are great options as well. But I'm very big on giving someone all the choices or all the opportunities, and letting them choose the path that's right for their situation, um, and not limiting someone. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of really what drove me to want to plan that college fair.